Well, good morning, everybody. And first, I just want to give a quick apology. I intended to record a long-range forecast video last night, but while I was waiting at the Denver airport on the plane here to fly back to Chicago and then eventually drive home, we had a massive snow squall that hit the airport. It was whiteout conditions for a while there. This was the view out of my window, and it took about 3 hours to get everything off the ground, and so I didn't get home until about 3 a.m. So I'll work on that long-range forecast later this morning and get it released to you for those that are looking for that one. But total snowfall over the last 3 days, I mean, we've added quite a bit to the northern Rockies, the central Rockies, and here in the Cascades, especially down into parts of California. We're going to see quite a bit more of this coming very soon. We'll even be talking a little bit today about some of the snow that might come into parts of the Midwest. But just taking a look, over the next 7 days, the pattern is favoring multiple low-pressure systems coming into the west. We got total precipitation from the Euro on the left and then snowfall on the right. Take a look. We could see total accumulated precip. This is liquid equivalent getting up there in the 2 to 6 inch range possible here in coastal Oregon and Washington, but a lot of this making it over the mountains. Now, the rain shadow will be ever present with this flow, and yes, the models do overestimate in parts of the Columbia Basin, interior parts of Oregon, the Snake River Valley, total precipitation. But what's good about this near-term pattern is it's going to eat away at the drought issue early here in the western part of the United States. Now over to the snow side of this, whoops, let's try that again. There we go. We can see that snowpack, significant snows, 18 plus inches, maybe up to 2 feet in the Sierra Nevada are possible out of these next few systems. And so overall, this is, again, a good, just a great thing to see here for the water health of the western United States with the pattern we're currently in. Now, I did want to broaden that out and show you the rest of the country through the next 7 days and parts of the Canadian Prairie where we are expecting extremely heavy snowfall. And some of the snow returning some moisture to Montana, a place that desperately needs it. But I'm keeping my eye on this. There is a system we're going to talk about in a second coming out of Texas and Oklahoma today, and possibly on the back side of it here we could get some snow out of this. Now, that system is being developed as this upper level trough ejects into the plains today. Here's the strong onshore flow coming into the Pacific Northwest. Here's the deep trough, and we've got a highly sheared environment setting up right in this area from Texas to parts of eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. Now, we were watching the rainfall. Let me just put this in motion for you here. And again, the biggest disappointment for me has been how much rain was able to make it here. See that? Back into parts of central and western Kansas and parts of Oklahoma. And we got decent precip moving through central Kansas toward eastern Kansas, but if you watch my forecast videos for the last, 10 to 15 days, I really thought we could get moisture farther back into central Kansas and western Kansas. It just didn't make it. But this is the setup going into this morning, and we do have right now some active thunderstorms stretching from Oklahoma through Kansas, getting into Iowa and parts of Missouri. Quite a bit of lightning this morning. But the action's going to kind of turn its focus much farther to the south this afternoon, really tonight, I should say, in parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, and they've enlarged the area of enhanced risk. So let's go take a look at it on the high-res NAM. I'm going to start you off about 9 o'clock this morning. So we have the main frontal boundary still stretched through here. The low is going to form on that. And we'll talk about this storm down here first before we go to the northwest. So could we deliver some good moisture into this quarter? Absolutely. Watch the snow on the backside, and then you'll see this is 4 o'clock this afternoon. By the time we get into the evening hours, a large frontal squall line is set to develop. And that's where we're expecting to see the strong winds with this and possibly some damaging winds. Now that storm system moves so that by 4 a.m. Saturday, maybe it's crossing the Mississippi. But look at the backside of this. Did you notice that? That blue there represents where the NAM model has converted this over to snow. So maybe bringing some snow into Kansas and then clipping Nebraska and then hitting northwestern Missouri. And don't be surprised to see some of the white stuff right in through here as this first low kind of clears through the Great Lakes. Now let's play it on out here through Saturday, getting into Saturday night into Sunday morning, and we're going to let this go all the way out to midday Sunday. Now let me take you back. Look at the northwest. This is through this evening, that strong onshore flow just piling up the rain here in coastal Oregon and Washington. Snows throughout the northern Rockies, and we could get some of this over here toward Boise, getting into the Snake River Valley, so that's our best chances. So then you go into Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. The low kind of splits. One goes through the Canadian Prairie, picking up all that snow, but the deeper wave continues to dig here into the Intermountain West and into California, so we could still get some more precip coming into California. Now, in addition to all of this, our all hazards weather map kind of points out one of the main features of this, and it's going to be a lot of very strong wind. So these colors here, the ones you see in Montana, throughout Washington, Oregon, back into Wyoming, this is all wind advisories, wind warnings, and the like. And this is what we're expecting midday. So take a look at that. Coming into the onshore area here in Washington, Oregon, getting into the Columbia Basin, coming over the mountains in Montana, sneaking through the Snake River Valley, coming out of parts of Wyoming, and then out ahead of all of it. This is racing from parts of Texas clear through Missouri, Illinois, back up to Michigan. Very strong winds as this front approaches. So anticipate an incredibly windy day throughout much of the United States. Now, total precipitation, I wanted to show you this panel here so we can compare. This is the next 7 days of total accumulated precip on the right. This is our current 16-inch or 40 centimeter soil moisture data. And what we notice here is who's getting the rain and who's not. So let's just kind of identify a couple of areas. Look on the western side of that line, and then you can see in through here, a couple of regions missing. So this whole region here is not receiving the kind of moisture it would need to kind of break through this long-standing drought. And maybe parts of the eastern Corn Belt don't see a lot of excess rainfall out of this, but the west is certainly getting it. So let's go right to the European model and just play this out 7 days. I'm uncertain about what happens the following weekend, not this one, but the next one. Oh, by the way, just a quick reminder, daylight saving time ends this weekend. So we've already seen through Sunday midday. So right there's where we're going to pick up. Now, one low's moving through parts of Manitoba. One has already cleared the Hudson Bay, and the next is coming into the Pacific Northwest. So this is Sunday night, getting into Monday morning, Monday afternoon, and evening. Now you see we open the Gulf again, scattered storms in through this area, some rain, possibly some very heavy snow though coming out of this wave as it splits off into kind of two pieces. One that digs into California and the second that emerges here in parts of Montana. Now this again by next Tuesday morning pulls more snow out of Montana into Alberta and Saskatchewan. But the deeper low comes all the way down into California, and that's where those big snows are coming into the Sierra Nevada. So this is early next week. Could see some scattered showers on the open Gulf moisture here. We're also keeping our eye on an upper level low that's coming out of the Bahamas and might put some precipitation down. See it right there along the east coast. So next Tuesday, this is where we're going to see a warm up. We're also going to see moisture coming through as we play this out through Wednesday into Wednesday night. That's when the deeper low that came through California could pull through the Dakotas. And look at the snow we could get on the back side of this. Now, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty. We'll keep an eye on it, but we're going to watch for that system. It's been in the last 3 runs of the European model. Now, that gets us out to next Wednesday as we see better rains coming into parts of the Carolinas. But I'm only going to take you out here, I think, to about next Thursday because I have a lot of questions about whether or not this next system right in through here will form. I'll show it to you just so you see it. But that's pretty far out there in a single model run as I rock back and forth. But it looks like a pretty deep wave cutting into some cold air at that point. So let's watch it. Let's not set it in stone though. What part of the country has a really good chance at getting soaked? Well, this is the probability of getting at least 2 inches of liquid equivalent. Some of that will be snow, of course, in the western mountains. So a narrow corridor through here, very heavy rain out of this next system. This is where we land by day 10. And what I'm watching for is a bit of a pattern reset. See the ridge nosing here into the western side of North America? What that does in the week 2 is give a break to the Pacific Northwest. So it's very active this week, but you get a bit of a break here as systems go a little bit farther to the south into California under that ridge. So that's why the week 2 precipitation pattern looks like it does here. From there, look at the temperatures. Another very hot one east of that front today. As we go into Saturday, though, very windy. Behind this, a major cool-off for briefly in this area because you already see that by Sunday into Monday, we're back over to the warmth here. Now, Montana takes the depth of this cold. Monday's temperatures, the high temperatures, Tuesday, 7 degrees. I mean, this is some cold air, and it just doesn't stop here. It goes up into British Columbia, into Alberta and Saskatchewan, very cold in the Canadian prairie. But this whole pattern of keeping a lot of warmth east and cooler air west lasts, out there almost to mid-month. But watch this. This is that 5-day sliding window I like to show you. You'll notice that once we get into mid-month, you can still see the divide across the country, but watch. The models have been very consistent, and given the Pacific jet stream pattern, I buy this, that we're going to finally push that colder air east as we approach, the middle of the month and getting out there, toward Thanksgiving even. So much cooler air likely coming across the country. Okay, very quickly to finish this video. Sorry we're a little longer this morning. But what I noticed here is that the main front cleared through the Amazon. And as we go into next week, there is better chances in the week 2 outlook of seeing better rains coming back to southern Brazil. And this is what I'll be watching for Argentina. Interestingly enough, the models for the long-range forecast, which were just released last night, doubled down again on the dryness. Southern Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina. So even though we might see some better rains coming through in a wave in the week 2 forecast, the longer range just persists, probably because of where the MJO is and what La Nina is doing. Finally, I did put in the report today just the latest updates from the European model for November 15 to December 15, so make sure to give that a read. And I hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll start off again next week. Thanks.